That was your cue to turn on. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is 𝘧𝘳𝘪𝘦, and back in September I went gluten-free for a variety of health reasons. And since that time I have learned a lot. So today I compiled general info, food that actually tastes good, and a whole bunch of other things into this video to help you on your gluten-free journey. So let's begin with the big cues, your big questions. So what is gluten? Gluten is a protein found in wheat, rye, and barley. So gluten is a general name for proteins found in wheat berries, durum, emmer, semolina, spelt, farina, farro, gram, kamut, cortisone, wheat, and einkorn, rye, barley, and triticale, a cross between wheat and rye. Gluten helps food maintain their shape, acting as a glue that holds food together. Gluten can be found in many types of food, even ones that would not be expected. But the big three are wheat, barley, and rye. And if I pronounce any of those wrong, I'm sorry. What is celiac disease? When people with celiac disease eat gluten, their body mounts an immune response that attacks the small intestine. These attacks lead to damage on the villi, small finger-like projections that line the small intestine that promote nutrient absorption. When the villi gets damaged, nutrients cannot be absorbed properly into the body. Celiac disease is hereditary, meaning that it runs in families. People with a first-degree relative with celiac disease, parent, child, sibling, have a 1 in 10 risk of developing celiac disease. Left untreated, celiac disease can lead to additional serious health problems. And here's the main symptoms of celiac disease: diarrhea, fatigue, weight loss, bloating and gas, abdominal pain, nausea and vomiting, constipation. However, more than half the adults with celiac disease have signs and symptoms unrelated to the digestive system, including anemia, loss of bone density, itchy blistery rash, mouth ulcers, headaches and fatigue, nervous system injury, which can include possible problems with balance and cognitive impairment, joint pain, reduced function of the spleen, which is hyposplenism. There's your new medical term for the day. So now, what is gluten intolerance? Gluten intolerance is sometimes confused with celiac disease or thought of as a food allergy. While avoiding particular foods is a treatment strategy for all three, these are not the same conditions. Food intolerances such as gluten involve the digestive system. The symptoms of gluten intolerance may also resemble those of a wheat allergy or intestinal condition such as IBS. Gluten intolerance can lead to discomfort, but it is unlikely to cause severe symptoms that require emergency care. So the symptoms of intolerance include tiredness, bloating, abdominal pain, diarrhea, nausea, constipation, a general feeling of being unwell, and the following may also occur: anxiety, headaches, brain fog, confusion, numbness, joint or muscle pain, the app crashed, or a skin rash. So let's talk about, real quick, some reasons people might go gluten-free. Obviously, if you get the definitive diagnosis of celiac disease, you really have no choice. Some people just want to test and see if they're gluten intolerant, or if gluten is just causing some stomach, digestive, and neurological issues. But one reason people go gluten-free, for the absolutely wrong reason, is they think it's healthier, and they treat it like it's a diet. Too many people go gluten-free thinking that they're gonna lose weight and that they're gonna become healthier, and sometimes, in reality, you actually end up gaining weight from a gluten-free diet. Not to say that you can't eat healthy, but gluten-free food tends to be higher in sugar and carbs, more calorically dense, and a lot more processed to replicate the taste of gluten food. Gluten-free eating should not be treated as a diet, and it probably won't make you lose any weight in the long run. So now, let's talk about food! Food is the hardest part in all this.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
You're welcome. Gluten-free food tends to be just a little bit too dry, and sort of sour and chemically tasting sometimes, because they're chock full of preservatives and weird chemicals you wouldn't find in your normal day-to-day food. So here's the top brands I love and I would recommend, and they replicate the taste of food with gluten the most. So here's just some quick microwaveable ready-to-eat stuff. So my #1 brand is Amy's. Amy's is my favorite all-time brand. They make stuff like kale bakes, a mac and cheese bake, which is so freaking good. They make really good gluten-free burritos. Like, seriously, the tortillas are amazing. They make enchiladas. They have a lot of variations. They make pizzas. They're really good.
I just wanted to say that Amy's may contain cross-contamination. I've been doing a lot of research into the company, and I was looking on a celiac chat message board thing. I sound like a boomer. Anyway, some people have a problem with it, other people don't get sick from it at all. Some products are produced in the same facility and some are not, so you're just gonna have to read the label on the package.
Speaking of frozen pizza, I don't remember the name of this company, I'll have to look it up later, but here it is right here. It is a cauliflower crust, and I find I've tried a couple different brands, and they're pretty much the same across the board. There's very little difference in regular crust and cauliflower Why?
You try and say it 3 times fast, I dare you.
And cauliflower crust, I find that they're pretty similar in taste. There are a lot of companies that make gluten-free taquitos because taquitos are made with corn tortillas, so they don't have any gluten in them. You'll have to check around. Certain companies may have cross-contamination. There used to be these really good ones in Whole Foods, and then they stopped making them, and now all they make is chicken. Why would I want chicken? So these are just things you can take with you to work, and they're just easy to make. Not a lot of thought has to go into them. So let's talk about baking. I shouldn't have done that. So if you like to bake like me and you feel so sad that you can no longer eat gluten, fear not. Pillsbury, Betty Crocker, and various other companies make rice flour, and it is honestly so good. I made a cake for my birthday, and I made some cookies around Christmas time, so in a blind test I wouldn't know if this cake has gluten or not, because honestly, it is so freaking close. You can also get some gluten-free pie crusts. I've seen them at Walmart and Safeway. So say it's dinner time and you're like, well, everybody's eating this, but it has gluten. Here's my top replacement brands. So this right here is Ian's breadcrumbs. Ian's breadcrumbs replicate the taste of regular breadcrumbs so closely, and the cool thing about this is it has no wheat or gluten, no milk, no eggs, and no peanuts or tree nuts. The only thing is they're produced in a facility with products containing soy, so if that's a problem for you. But that's a really good replacement. They're panko, blub. They're really good, they crisp up really nice, and it's just delicious. Gorilla makes really good gluten-free noodles. And so they make a really good corn and rice noodle replacement. Delicious, 10 out of 10, would definitely recommend. Next up, we've got Annie's gluten-free. Annie's is also a really good company. I always mix them up with Amy's. Isn't that weird? Annie's and Amy's. And I think these are certified gluten-free. Next, for replacement items, we've got Thai Kitchen. Thai Kitchen makes really good rice noodles. I used them for the first time tonight, and they have just such a nice texture. I can't explain it. They're really good in stir fry. If you can't find any, like, corn and rice noodles, these are a good replacement. Just slap some sauce on it, you'll never even know. A company I don't have with me right now, but one that I definitely like is Rudy's. They make really good tortillas. They're not, like, crumbly and flaky, and they're not made from corn. Corn tortillas are not the best replacement for regular tortillas, and they also make stuff like baguettes and bread. They just tend to be a little bit more on the dry side. Risotto made by the Lundbergs is really good. It's just rice, and it has a couple different flavors. You can just make it in the microwave. It's really tasty, and it's a side dish that you and everybody else in your household who may not be gluten-free can enjoy. If somebody else is eating noodles, just make a baked potato, make fan potatoes. I'll leave a link down in the description for really good ones we tried. And if all else fails, just make some white rice. And white rice is actually healthy. You can also do quinoa. So now we're on to the snack section, because what is life without snacks? My number one snack, my number one go-to is Nut Thins. They are delicious. These seriously could replace Doritos for me. They go really good with sandwiches. They're delicious. Almond cracker. They come in a variety of flavors. They're delicious. I love them. I go through like a box in a day. And I think these are also certified gluten-free. So no cross-contamination. Did you know that Oreo has started making gluten-free Oreos? I saw these at the store the other day. They're new. They are so good. I got the double stuffed, and they even have little gluten-free written on them.
I ain't lie.
You don't have to give up your cookies quite yet. Kind also makes gluten-free bars. Not all of the products are gluten-free, so I don't know if these are certified. These particular ones have a Rice Krispie treat texture. They're really good. They're just a little bit on the pricey side. Nature Valley also makes granola bars and protein bars without any gluten, but not all other products are gluten-free, so there might be some cross-contamination. I don't know what their, like, procedure is on that. Lance also makes really good kind of Cheez-It replacements. They make crackers that are also the golden round. They're a little bit on the sweet side, which is kind of weird, but once you get past that kind of jarring, they're actually pretty good. Outside the Bread Box is my favorite company when it comes to bread, and they make cookies and graham crackers. I love graham crackers! So in terms of bread, because bread is the hardest thing to find, that's not... 𝘬𝘩𝘓 makes a really good one. They have sourdough, white bread, and like a multi-grain one. Inside the Bread Box makes rolls and bagels and also really good vegan bread. And I never thought that vegan bread could be good, but it tastes just like regular bread. They're just really tiny little squares.
This is gluten-free. This is regular bread. Look at the size difference.
And some Rudy's is good, but sometimes Rudy's is good most of the time. Their bagels are not. They make a really good baguette, and it really does replicate the taste of a French baguette. It's amazing. I love it. And of course, you always have healthy options if you don't want to be eating all this snack food and gaining weight. So your fruit, your veggies, oatmeal, that does contain some cross-contamination. It's not 100% gluten-free, so if that's a problem. You got your potatoes, your rice, your beans, your eggs, your dairy products, quinoa, meats, cottage cheese, all of that good stuff can still be within your diet. You gotta keep a good balance to keep yourself, you know, nutritionized. Now, whether you've been diagnosed with celiac or you're just experimenting, research is going to be your best friend. Cross-contamination is a huge problem. A lot of companies will make a gluten-free variety of their products, but it will be produced alongside their other non-gluten-free products, resulting in cross-contamination. Take, for example, these peppermint bark tree things. They are manufactured in a facility that processes nuts, tree nuts, peanuts, wheat, eggs, soy, and milk, so there is a potential cross-contamination case there. Other companies will ensure that their products are 100% gluten-free, such as in the case of Oreos and Nut Thins. Gotta love them, gotta love them. So they're verifiably gluten-free with 0% chance of cross-contamination. And last but not least, here's some things I'm gonna impart onto you, my wisdom, things I wish I had known going into a gluten-free diet. Rice noodles will always overcook. Corn and rice noodles are the best. They don't get mushy super easily. You really gotta balance your diet between snack foods and proteins and get in your, 6 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. Tapioca starch is from God. I find that the really chewier foods that kind of replicate foods that have gluten in them have tapioca starch. It blew my mind when I realized this one day when I was looking at the ingredient list of my favorite foods. I swear, it's a thing. Just trust me. However, not every product that has tapioca starch is going to be chewy. So going gluten-free can be a little bit of a daunting thing at first, but once you get into the rhythm of it becomes a lot easier. About 2 or 3 weeks in, I did start to feel better, so it's not an immediate overnight, yeah, all your problems go away. You can do this, you got this. There are so many foods that taste just like the foods and the brands you love, and you will discover all kinds of things about chemical processing and carbs and calories and how to take care of your body a little bit better through switching to such a weird diet. Now, before I leave, I just want to say, if you have any tips or tricks or foods or recipes or just things you love and you want to share it, feel free to comment something down below. It'll be helpful to me, it'll be helpful to anyone else going gluten-free. Thank you all so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you all here next week.